Okay, I have been eagerly awaiting the arrival of my Stan's Notubes ZTR Race Gold 29er wheels. This is an extremely light race wheel set, and in the description for the product on their website it says it's for riders of 170 pounds or less, including gear. So I'm actually right in there. I weigh about 160 pounds and maybe 10 pounds of stuff on me, so I'm kind of be pushing the limit on these. These were very highly rated online, and I'm trying to build a lightweight race bike, and I didn't have the money for carbon, so I went with these wheels. So these come already with the yellow tape on them and with valves on them already to go tubeless. So I'm going to be end up putting my Schwalbe Racing Ralphs on these. So I'll just kind of go over what the wheels are all about here. The rear wheel already comes ready to go for my 12 millimeter through axle, and it comes with the free hub on here ready to go to put my Shimano XTR Cassette. The front wheels have these set up for a 5 millimeter axle, and we're going to have to pull these off of here to be able to put these little adapters in to be able to run my 15 millimeter through axle for my front fork. But let me just go through and real quick weigh these, and we'll see how much they weigh. This is the front wheel, and the front wheel weighs 646 grams. That's pretty light. And then the rear wheel weighs 740 grams. So that is very, very light. It's less than less than 1,400 grams for both wheels. So let's go ahead and put these new spacers in here instead of the 5 millimeter axle that's in there right now, and I'll work on that next. Okay, the first thing we need to do with our wheel is to pull out these little adapters in here that are for 5 millimeter axles. There's one on each side, and I already kind of worked this one loose. So we'll pull that one out, and you just pop those out of there like that, and that's what that looks like. And then we're going to have to pop the other ones into place. And those just go in there right there on top of the bearing, and those just pop right into place just like that. And those are just adapters for our 15 millimeter through axle for our front fork. This one I haven't pulled out yet, so this might take a little bit of work. I don't want to mess them up too bad, just in case I need them sometime in the future. I'm going to clamp on there now. It's not that easy to work these things loose. There we go. Ugh. It actually took some significant pull to get that out of there, but that's what that piece looks like. I'll just put that right there like that so you can see. That's the adapter for that. It's going to be interesting to see what these weigh after I pull out those adapters. So those are significantly heavier than the ones I'm putting back in here. We're just going to pop that back in place. So that's all ready to go. Let's just see how much that weighs now. It was 640, now it's down to 628. So super light rim. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do with my Stan's front wheel is to put on my 160 millimeter rotor. At one point I thought I was going to put 180s, but I'm going to try to get away with 160s just for reduced weight, and I don't really think I need that much stopping power here in Florida. This is the SMRT86 XT rotor. Comes with an alloy hub and a stainless steel braking surface. The box also comes with some instructions about, putting the bolts in. It comes with 6 bolts with some thread locker on there, and then these little shims which the bolts go over, and you bend the tabs up to keep the bolts from backing out. So that is what comes in the kit, and we're going to start applying this to the bike. Okay, the tools that we're going to need for this are going to be just your T25 driver, because these nuts here are T25. This T25 driver, and then a T25 torque wrench, and this is supposed to be torqued down to 4 Newton meters, these nuts. So we're going to go ahead and put our rotor in place here, and then we're going to put these little tabs here that keep the bolts from backing up. Oops, just like this. And like that. So basically these little things will fold up to keep they have little ridges on the bottom of them. And as the bolt tightens down on it, these little ridges here, these little tabs, let me show if I can see this, let's see how close up on this. So there's little tabs right here, and as the bolt gets tightened down over this tab, it has like a little ratchet, so it keeps the bolt from backing up. So there's the little teeth on the bottom, and they interact with that. It's different than the description in the manual, but that's how those work. They tighten down nice, but then they don't back up. So that's what the little bolts are for. So we're going to stick those 3 of those into place, and to make sure there's a top. Back this up again. There's a top and a bottom to that. Top and bottom to these. So make sure they say top facing up. And then we're just going to take our driver, and we're going to start putting those nuts in place. I am lazy, so I'm going to actually turn these down with my driver instead of putting them in with hand, because with the thread locker on there, it actually is pretty hard to put those into place. So I'm going to start them all in the holes. It's good to start a nut in each hole, because that way these little plates won't rotate as I turn them down with my power driver. And I have my power driver set for a very low torque, so it'll still drive it in, but I'll finish it off with my torque driver. A little tighter than that. Okay, now I'm going to finish this off with my torque wrench to 4 Newton meters. Crank this all the way down to 4. I'm going to put my T25 head in there and torque this down. Okay, that rotor's on, nice and tightened down. Okay, again, this is my rear wheel now, and I have my 160mm rotor on there. I've got the little locking tabs down underneath, facing up where top says up, and then I've got my 6 T25 bolts in place. I'm just going to drive these down, going crisscross as I go across, kind of like you're putting the bolts on a wheel of your car. Okay, and we're going to finish torquing those off. Okay, good. All torqued down. So I got the front and rear rotors on. Okay, next thing we're going to do is put on our cassette onto our wheel. This is the XTR 11-speed cassette. This is the CSM-9000 11-speed cassette. And the tools that we're going to need here is we're going to need a cassette locking tool, which turns this cap right here. This is the Park Tool FR5. We're going to need a wrench to be able to hook up to that. I have a torque wrench set for 40 Newton meters. My little bike torque wrench that I normally use only goes up to 24, so I had to go to the torque wrench I actually use on my car. A chain whip, which you don't necessarily need for putting it on. You can hold on to the rim, but I still like to hold on to the cassette, so I'll use my chain whip to put that on. And then that's all we need to do. So let's first of all, let's start putting the cassette cogs onto the free hub. So first of all, the cassette comes with, let's kind of zoom in here now. This cassette comes with this little plastic thing which holds them together. You can see from the bottom this is composite, and then these rings here I believe are either titanium or alloy depending on which cog it is. So we just pop that little plastic thing out to release the cogs, and we'll start with the bottom. Let's take the locking cap down first, and we're going to start with the bottom one. I'm going to say what I always do is just look for the one wide tooth, and then find the one wide tooth on here, and then line up the wide tooth, and then just start lining them up like that. So just starting from the bottom, I just keep looking for the wide tooth and keep putting the wide tooth on place there. So these first ones all have 2 cogs attached together, and then the last 3 are separate. So that goes in there like that. Just make sure they're all facing frontwards. You don't have to worry about that for the ones that are attached together, but these ones you got to make sure that are facing direction, and it says the tooth on front. So it goes in there like that. And then we've got this one here. You can tell it's the right way because it's facing up here. This is a 13 tooth. And it slides in there like that. The last one, and we have to look for the wide, and it's having a hard time finding it. There it is right there. That goes in there like that. Okay. Now we have to put our locking cap on. So our locking cap just goes and screws on. Okay, that gets screwed on there like that. And then we can put our tool on there, and we give it just a quick snug. Get it snugged down before we start to torque it. So you can either just hold on to the rim to put it on there, or you can actually use a chain whip. This is my little homemade chain whip. This way I'm not putting any pressure on the rim to torque it. I'm using the chain whip tool and the cassette itself. So just basically going to go and tighten this down to 40 Newton meters. Okay, let's finish off our torquing. Got my tool on there. And there you go. Now it's torqued. Okay, that's torqued. 40 Newton meters. That's actually a lot tighter than I used to tighten it when I didn't use a torque meter. So, and our cassette is firmly attached to our rear wheel.